Okay, let's pivot on over to Potomac and let's talk about Robyn Dixon because it was what was it, Giorgio on TikTok? He was saying that there was a woman that came to him and she had some receipts and she had a hotel statement or a hotel invoice that she provided to him, and she had text messages from Juan, and she claims that they were dating for over a year, and then she made Robyn aware of it, and Robyn didn't want her to go public with any of this. And at first I was like, I have a lot of questions. Like, what does this invoice actually mean? We need answers, right? Well, then Robyn came out on her podcast with Giselle, Reasonably Shady, and she revealed that yes, she was aware of this and she did hear from this woman. And then she released a deeper insight into the incident with her Patreon, where she went into it further and got into more detail. And then she had to appear on Watch What Happens Live this week, where Andy Cohen really laid into her about the whole Juan affair. And he seemed to not be happy with the fact that she kept it from the show and then ended up revealing this on Patreon. And her argument was that they had worked through it, that she was prepared to talk about it, but no one brought it up, and that she also talked about it on the free version of the podcast, not just the Patreon version. And then that's where Ebony was like, well, you know, I'm all about the paywall. I'm all about the paywall. I'm a podcaster and I'm all about the paywall. But I can tell you right now, she's probably making more money on Bravo than she's making from her Patreon. Okay, I don't think anybody's really listening to Reasonably Shady. And that's not shade towards them. I just don't see them in the charts every week. Teddy and Tamra seem to be ranked in the charts week after week. So anyway, Robyn claims that that this woman, it's actually a really stupid story, like the stupidest story I've ever heard. And the fact that Robyn even bought this is kind of makes me question her a little bit. But again, I wanted to give her and Juan the benefit of the doubt. That's why when I first heard these details and they were being reported on TikTok, I was like, I don't know. I have questions. Like, is this real? Blah, 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 blah. So she's claiming that the hotel invoice was that Juan paid for the room for her because this woman is dating another professional athlete, and this woman decided to come to Maryland on her own accord. She just decided she was going to visit for no real apparent reason, not to come see Juan, but she just happened to find herself there. And then she lost her wallet at the casino, and then she wasn't able to pay for her hotel room. So then she texted Juan, and she was freaking out, and he was like, okay, I'll pay for it. And my thing is, it's like, why would you pay for some random ass bitch's hotel room? Like, why? Like, how does that make any sense? And if she has a professional athlete boyfriend, why couldn't she call him and ask her boyfriend to pay for this hotel room? Why did Juan have to be the one to pay it? Like, why was that her first thought was, let me reach out to him, number one. And number two, why would Juan pay it? Especially if all he was doing was just covering her room for the night. Like, I wouldn't rant. Like, if somebody called me, and people, trust me, people slide into our DMs all the time. They're like, can I have money? Can you Venmo me $200? Can you do this? And I'm just like, fuck off. Like, I'm not just going to give a random person money that I don't know. I wouldn't give a random stranger money. If I don't know you, I'm not giving you any money. Sorry, period. End of story. Not going to happen. And then on top of that, it just, like, it seemed like Robyn seemed to believe that this was just kind of like a fan of Juan's, and that she just was like all hung up on him, and maybe he like engaged in some sort of, you know, flirty messages with her. But it's like, she also had his phone number. Why did she have his phone number? What were they actually talking about? Where are the text messages? I want to see the text messages. The fact that Robyn believes that Juan actually just paid for her hotel room with no expectations, nothing, and that this woman had nobody else to reach out to and call. Fishy. Weird. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think that there's a lot more here to it, and it probably looked really bad, but Robyn's like, listen, we worked through it. We're all good. We fixed it. Also very weird, also very strange that she just wanted to brush it under the rug and not even address it. And Andy's like, but this whole season was about infidelity, and you participated in these conversations about infidelity, and you talked about other people's alleged infidelity, but yet you didn't think to bring this up. And she's like, well, I was prepared to talk about it if somebody else brought it up. And he's like, that's not how reality TV works. You don't wait for somebody to expose you. You live out your life. And if this was something that happened in your relationship, which is a big part of your storyline as you're walking down the wedding aisle, I mean, it doesn't seem unreasonable to want it to talk about this. Giselle never brought it up on camera, and she loves to bring up other people's relationships. Very, very fishy. Very fishy. And then she sold it on the podcast and the Patreon. She still makes money off of the podcast because she makes money through ad revenue or sponsorships. And then when it comes to the Patreon, she makes money because people have to pay for the Patreon. So she made some additional money on top of her Bravo salary. So people are like, should she be fired? I mean, I feel like this is a really big thing to kind of conceal. I mean, it definitely put her in the fire. I mean, honestly, I don't know. What's left of her storyline? I think it wouldn't be surprising if they did fire Robyn. Because again, what's left in her storyline? What's left in any of their storylines? Aside from Candace's aspiring music career, which is really blowing up. I don't even think it's aspiring anymore. Like, Candace has really taken off. And, you know, her budget for her music videos has gotten bigger. She had Trina in it. Like, she's living her best life. So I think Candace has more story to tell. Ashley, I think, has more story to tell, considering, one, she has beef with Candace, and two, she, like, is going through this weird divorce situation that's also kind of like somewhat intriguing, that I wish she would lean into that a little bit more. Karen, what's new with Karen? What's going on with Karen other than her doing her live shows? But is that a compelling enough storyline for Karen? Robyn, she married Juan. They got engaged. They got married. We watched their whole situation. I feel like at this point, I could really see Robyn sailing off into the sunset. I know there was like a rumor that Andy was going to fire her on Watch What Happens Live, or that she was going to get fired after they finished taping Watch What Happens Live. That's not how things happen. Usually it comes when there are contract negotiations, and usually someone doesn't get a contract. And I don't feel confident that Robyn's going to get a contract for next season. I don't think she brought that much this season, and the fact that she hid this, I think, is a big red flag. And I think, listen, her story wrapped up and she got married. Character arc is complete. I think we can move on with Robyn, maybe bring in some new blood. Karen, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with Karen. I think Charisse, as much as I didn't really like Charisse is the only one that really made Karen interesting this season. But again, we have all these allegations that have been unfounded necessarily. I mean, everyone keeps talking about Karen's affairs, but she's not owning up to it. She doesn't want to talk about it. She shuts it down and runs every time. She hasn't denied it. Who else do we have? We have Mia. Okay, Mia's somewhat interesting, especially now that her life with Jay is in shambles. They lost the control of their franchises. So that's at least somewhat compelling. Like Mia or dislike Mia, she still has a compelling enough storyline. So Candace, Mia, Ashley. We have Dr. Wendy. I don't know what more Wendy's brought to in terms of storyline, but I at least still find Wendy interesting, and Wendy's still willing to get into the mix and kind of get scrappy, even though I've had a real love-hate relationship with Wendy, but I think we can keep her around. I don't know what we do with Giselle. Giselle has not given us... Giselle and Robyn have really been disappointing. They haven't given us much. The most they gave us this season were calling out other people's rumors, or they did their live show that totally bombed. So... yeah, I'm not fully into, as much as I like Giselle, and I think we keep her around, right? She's an OG. She brings something to the show, but I just don't think, I think we can get rid of Robyn, to be honest with you.